Don't you love it when things are both easier and more affordable? Like when the rain washes your car for you. Or like when you save up to 10% by bundling your renters and auto insurance with USAA. Bundle with USAA and start saving. Get a quote today.
When you think about your future, you know what calls to you. Meaningful work, happiness, growth, and sharing these values with others. But how will you find all of that? There are many paths forward, including one you may not have considered. The military provides countless opportunities to pursue your calling, where you can be part of something bigger than yourself, while still being yourself, and having the future you want. You have a calling, we have an answer. Learn more at todaysmilitary.com.
So good, so good, so good.
Great gifts for mom? We've got them. And they're up to 60% off at Nordstrom Rack stores now.
You know they have Marc Jacobs?
Gotta show mom some love.
That is so good.
Snag amazing deals on Mother's Day gifts from Barefoot Dreams, Kate Spade New York, and more. Great brands, great prices. That's why you rack.
Waiting for the best deals? Spring Black Friday savings are here. Shop early access now at Blinds.com and save big on new custom window treatments. Blinds.com makes upgrading your window treatments easy with free virtual consultations, free samples sent to your door, and professional measure and installation services. Plus, you always get Blinds.com's 100% satisfaction guarantee. Shop Blinds.com's Spring Black Friday early access now. Save up to 40% with minimum purchase, plus a free measure. Rules and restrictions may apply.
Drink it in, man.
In 3, 2, 1. Loyal, die-hard Detroit Koolaid drinkers. This is your boy Oakrey coming at you on the Detroit Koolaid Cast for another one of those Kool-Aid packets. Recording here on a Sunday afternoon. This will be dropping on Monday. Then we got the Wednesday morning flagship show that drops. Then the Thursday all-day, multi-hour draft marathon show that we plan to do with me and Chops and the D. Lots of draft talk, lots of live reactions, thoughts, live picks. But today, I want to do... I feel like I've talked so much draft. I'm just ready for it to get here. So what I want to do today is talk, again, a little bit in broad strokes of what if and could this and maybe. But then I also want to look back at the Oakrey live picks since Brad Holmes has been the general manager. By that I mean picks that I've literally made from the DTO scouting office live as the draft goes. Once the Lions jump on the clock, I got my board, I've got my targets. I've literally made every pick live before the Lions pick, going all the way back to 2007. But we are going to focus on the Brad Holmes era, who I picked, who he picked, what we agreed on, what he got right, what I didn't get right. And we're going to keep this short because this is a Kool-Aid packet, so I'm not going to drone on for days and days. But before we get into those live picks, I'll also throw some of the choppy live picks in there as well. Like, what I'm real interested in come Thursday, Friday, and even into Saturday is Brad Holmes and Dan freaking Campbell, are they willing to be bold? You know, make a big move? Or is this going to be like the last few off seasons, let's be honest? Very slow, kind of boring, productive, but nothing, dramatic. Yes, Brad Holmes, he's always out for business. His picks have been dynamic. They've been, how should I say this? So what word could I use to say about most of his picks? Elite! But other than that, I mean, we haven't seen the big trade. We haven't seen them willing to move on from top quality players. They just sort of, hey, we got our guys. We started winning. We feel like it's going to work. We know it hasn't worked the last couple years. On the highest of levels, we've had good wins. So are they willing to make a trade in the first round or two? Are they willing to let go of a guy that we like, that they like, that other teams like, that has value to obtain something better? I'm very curious and hoping that they are, because as much as I am for this slow, steady draft, develop, re-sign, I don't think you can do that at the ultimate level and win at the highest level. I think in between there has to be a couple bold acquisitions, or hey, we're going to spend a little bit more than we normally would. And of course, like I don't want that to sacrifice, making Hutch feel like he's the number one priority, or losing Kerbo, or spending too much now and then realizing we can't keep, Branch and Laporta and all these people that we still want to keep. But you also can't just think that everything is going to go fine and we'll just plan 4 years ahead and everything's going to go perfect and we'll re-sign all our top guys. We'll also win in the meantime. We'll hopefully win a championship, and then everything will just fall, perfectly into place. There has to be a little bit of a now type mentality, while also not going crazy, so you're jeopardizing your entire future. Can you jeopardize maybe re-signing a player or two now to obtain a player or two now and try to get up over the hump and get to the NFC Championship, win the NFC Championship, win the Super Bowl? Yes, those are the type of moves that I'm hoping for. I've also been a big proponent the last days, weeks, months of saying, hey, Brad Holmes, here's a thought. Trade back. If your guy's not there, you're not in love with people, or maybe you're in love with 5, 6, 10 players. Move back, obtain picks, obtain assets, maybe even move back and say, give us this player that is maybe a depth upgrade, maybe a starter quality. Hey, give us that guy, we'll drop back, 20, 30 picks, whatever it is. And that's just smart business. And I haven't seen him ultimately willing to do that, other than trade back a little bit more, and then give up all those assets in the same draft or soon after to move up and obtain people that he loves, either in draft, small trades here or there. I mean, gosh, we're giving up multiple picks for wide receivers from Denver that working at the bowling alley now, and all these other guys that he's somewhat done that for. So I think there needs to be a sense of covering your butt later while also being a little more aggressive now, and then also looking at it and saying, we don't always have to come up and get quote-unquote our guy. There's plenty of guys in this draft from top to bottom that can help this football team. There's always going to be a cluster of players that you have graded similarly, you know what I mean, with a similar grade. But don't freaking think I gotta have this one guy or else, and give up your third and give up future fourth and give up, fifths down the line because you just gotta have somebody. That's going to come back to bite us. We already are a little bit shy in the future years with picks. So deal back a little bit. Get a few more picks in 2026, 2027, and add your players. But, hey, you have money in the piggy bank. You have guys that other teams would like. I mean, if you're not happy with Hendon Hooker, somebody else would probably love to have him for a decent asset. If you think you got too many backers, or you can peel off an offensive lineman and upgrade, then do that. And show us you could do that and do it at a high level. So I think there may be some bold moves. I would actually be disappointed if we just ho-hum go through the draft and, okay, we got our 5, 6, 7 players. No big deal backs, no big acquisitions. The guys we got, they're okay, but they're not tremendous. Nobody that's just a game changer type of thing. That would be disappointing. And I also kind of don't want to walk out of the draft with game changer or two and be like, but we gave up more future assets and we had to have that guy, and there were plenty of guys that went 20 picks later that I also like. So I got a lot of expectations, not only for this draft, this football team, but just how slow they've done the free agency, and we got more than we expected, and we can't spend money because 3 years down the line we got to pay this guy. the cap could be 30, 40 million more at that point. You could have guys that wash out due to injury. These guys that you're planning for have only had a year or two of success. We've all seen the guys have a year or two success and then, fall off the map and not be worth re-signing. Now, that's not going to happen to my boy, Brian Branch. I don't see that happen to the Laporta Supportos. I don't see the multi-dimensional, positionless. Wait for it. Elite Jahmyr Gibbs falling in that bucket, but I can't see the Lions just like having the magical run, getting you the NFC Championship, falling short, having a great year last year, falling asleep in their first playoff game and taking an L, to bring the boys back, a couple depth signings, add DJ Reed, have a decent draft class, boom, here we go. It's got to be a little bit more than that. Now, do they need to blow everything up and change 8 million things and spend their whole piggy bank and cost themselves future stars? No, they don't. That's not what I'm saying. I'm saying a little more aggression, a little bit more acquisition phase activity, as Brad Holmes would somewhat call it, and make this thing happen. So, all right, that's about 8-10 minutes. Let's get into these live picks because these are really interesting. So let's go back to the Penei Sewell draft. These are the Oakery picks live on the clock before the Lions made them in the 2021 NFL draft. At pick 7 for the Detroit Lions, Oakery of the Detroit Koolaid Cast selects Penei Sewell. Now, leading up to that draft, I was doing the show with Benny Blades. We were going back and forth, and I was kind of like, man, I really don't know about taking a tackle that plays left and just moving him over to right, and we already had some pieces there. But come draft day, as the board fell, and they took Jamar Chase, and they took Waddle, not that I wanted Waddle, but you know what I mean, as the board fell, he was the best player, and that's who I took. In the second round, I took one of my favorite prospects. I was surprised, very surprised he was there, but the Lions could have taken him. And that's Jeremiah Owusu-Koramoah. Great name, great football player, safety, linebacker, heat-seeking missile. Turned out to be a very nice pro. They passed on him. In the third round, I took a receiver that I really liked heading in that draft process. Thought he was going to be good. Went to kind of a non-football school at that point, but thought if he got with the right team and got opportunities, he'd be good, and that was De'Ami Brown in North Carolina. Not so much, De'Ami Brown the last year or so has sort of showed a few flashes, but nothing really tremendous. Then I took Johnson's, Jeremiah Johnson, I think was a safety coming out in that class. I thought he was a good pick with their second, third rounder. In the fourth round, I thought this was a steal at the time because we had no good tight ends. Brevin Jordan, really thought he was going to be a good pro. He's had a lot of injuries. Nixon was an interior defensive lineman that I thought was going to be good. I thought it was tremendous value in the fourth round. He didn't really do much in the league. He's probably out of the league at this point. And then Dylan Moses from Alabama, great college player, came in with injuries, got taken by the Jags, I think it was, and I don't think he ever saw the light of day in the NFL. But again, that was a 7th round flyer, which did not work. So that was my 2021 live on the clock draft. Here's 2022 Oakery, and I'll throw a few Chops live picks in there as well. In the first round with the second pick, we ran the card to the podium. We don't even have time for the draft sound, pick sound, because it was too easy, and that was simply this.
Unleash Hutch.
Aiden Hutchinson sitting there at 2. How the Jaguars passed on him, I'll never understand. Thank you. What a great pick. Now we get to unleash Hutch. We get to play his music. We gets his like week in, week out, say, hey, Dan Campbell, are you ready to unleash Hutch or what?
Unleash Hutch. I'm ready to unleash Hutch.
Exactly. Absolutely incredible pick, incredible football player. Chops on the same wavelength, obviously, as well. Go Blue. In the Lions jumping up from 32 to 12, we were spinning our wheels. We were caught off guard with moving up that much. We gave up absolutely nothing to the Minnesota Vikings, like flip picks in the third round or whatever it was to make this huge leap up. I thought about it. Before the Lions make the pick, Oakrey selects. Let's get the sounder for this one. Jameson Williams, wide receiver, Alabama. Hashtag JamoFast. Incredible pick by @ChopsInTheD. Go give him a follow on Twitter. Kyle Hamilton, safety from Notre Dame. In the second round, the Lions were on the clock. I was looking at it. I obviously passed up on Kyle Hamilton. There were other safeties I liked. Didn't view it as much of a priority as getting a speedster, an elite player. An elite player like J-Mo. So I went ahead in the second round and took Jaquan Brisker from Penn State. Very happy to make that selection. Again, here on the old Google sheet, we have a awful decision by Chops in the D. He takes Kyle Hamilton, and then he piggybacks on my pick and takes Jaquan Brisker. 2 safeties in a row. That's not smart business. So those are his picks. The Lions come up late, kind of in that third round, around pick 97 or so, I believe it was. And the Oakrey Live pick was Cade Otton, tight end from... Where was Cade Otton from? I want to say, like, is it Kansas State? Was it Washington? I think it was Washington. Anyway, I thought he was a great tight end. He's really coming to his own a little bit down there in Tampa Bay. Gets the football a lot, starting to make a few plays. I would have been happy with that development here in Detroit. Chops, nice pick by him here at this selection. Leo Chennault, the linebacker, who's been a good player there for Kansas City. So Chops, of course, falls asleep after that, doesn't make any picks, out cutting the grass, whatever he's up to. I might as well have done those activities because these other players I took have no impact basically in the league. Beavers was a highly touted tight end from Cincinnati. I think he went to New York Giants. I don't believe he did much. Vernon McKinley was somebody I loved at safety. He didn't do much, always hurt, things like that. Josh Jobe from Alabama, corner. He's actually done some things. You see him make some plays, I think, with Philly and other teams. So that wasn't bad. And then I took a flyer with 238 on Justin Ross coming out of Clemson. He kept having hype, continued to have injuries, and just didn't do what people hoped he would do. So that was a big miss, again, by me. So again, it shows how those late picks are hard when you're doing them live. It's much easier for people to come back a year, 2, 3 years later and say, oh, you know who I would have picked in the 7th round? And some Pro Bowler that they didn't even know the day of and hadn't even heard of that they would have picked live on the clock. Like, get out of here with that. In 2023, this is where it gets interesting. The Oakrey Live pick at number 12 after the Lions traded down with the Oakrey Detroit Koolaid Cast selection. I select my boy Nolan Smith. Smifff, edge outside linebacker from Georgia. I loved his character. I loved the way he'd get after the quarterback. But Oakrey's too small. He doesn't weigh enough. He's not going to be able to do it at the NFL level. Look at his first year. He didn't do anything. What do you think about Nolan Smith now? He's coming into his own. He's getting after the quarterback. He'll probably be a starter for multiple years now with the Philadelphia Eagles. Seems to be a good player. Chops, with the 12th pick, selected Lucas Van Ness, big edge from Iowa. Went to Green Bay. Haven't heard much with him with the cheddar heads, the mozzarella sticks. He looks the part. I don't think he's done a ton. He's probably trying to work his way up the depth chart. We'll see what he does moving forward. With the 18th pick in the first round, the Koolaid Cast selection, Koolaid Cast, penetrating defensive tackle. Went the next pick after that to Tampa Bay. Really seems to be coming into his own. I would expect him to be a starter, an impact player there for them moving forward. Chops in the D selects Joey Porter Jr., cornerback. Went to Pittsburgh. Joey Porter has had ups and downs, and I still like him, and I liked him at the time. The thought was, will he get too many penalties? Can he play coverage? Things like that. And I think he's growing in to be better at that, but he's still kind of hit or miss on a weekly basis. This is the one that kills me, and it's because Chops comes on here and he throws out these little drabs, these little barbs, and it's like, with 34th pick, the Detroit Lions, Derek Oakley of the Detroit Koolaid Cast selects. Make sure you get it right next time, Chop Chop. My boy, Brian Branch. Corner, safety, Alabama. What does Brad Holmes do? Trades up to 34 so he can pick his boy, my boy, Brian Branch. That was a game changer for me. For me to wait on that player. I liked him. I didn't want to take him at 12. Didn't want to take him at 15. Didn't have a pick later. Didn't have a pick that high in the second, but moved up, took a player that shouldn't have fell that far and shouldn't have been there. What does that Chops in the D do while he's out on like a cruise or playing with his kids or coaching whatever he was doing at the time, drinking a Mai Tai? Oh, Oakley, you said Brian Branch? Sure, I'll take Brian Branch too. That way I look smart when he becomes a Pro Bowler like 2 years later, an absolute stud. So get out of here with the my boy Brian Branch when Chop says it. For me, you could go back and listen to the audio, which I was solo during that draft, and I called it long before the Lions did, and we were both right. With the 45th pick, this is another gem that I made live on the clock. Give me Tank Dell, wide receiver from Houston, goes to Houston, should have went to the Lions, but he's been hurt. He's had multiple injuries. Have you seen him when he's not hurt? He's a stud from day one. He can separate. He can score deep down the field. He's a productive player, dynamic talent. I don't care how tall he is, how big he is. Yeah, the injuries are unfortunate. There is no question. The pick by @Chops in the D at that selection was his boy, Adam Dembaware, defensive tackle edge. I think he went to the Colts. I can't say he's done much. I could be mistaken. I still can't pronounce his name. Yes, I might have liked him a little bit in that draft as well, but Chops definitely latched onto that player and totally missed on my boy Tank Dell, which was a great pick. The Lions, obviously having a great draft as well. In this draft, getting the guys that they got, getting Jahmyr Gibbs, getting Campbell, instead of taking Brian Branch. They actually got, I think they got Branch. Didn't they get Branch at 45? And they got Laporta at 34? Is that what they did? You would think I'd have this. I think we do have it here on the Google sheet. Yeah, that's right. So they actually took Sam Laporta, Sammy Biscuits at 34, waited till 45 and got Brian Branch. So I actually jumped the gun on Brian Branch. I was ahead of Brad Holmes, yet he was fortunate that Branch was still there at 45 and he was able to snag him, which was incredible. 68, this is a double dip. Me and Chops in the D thought it was tremendous value to have the opportunity to get Hendon Hooker here as a backup, number 2, upside. If Jared Goff gets hurt, you could put a guy like here in that hasn't worked out the way we'd hoped, but we still love the kid, the player, and I'm still hoping that he can come into his own as a, he showed me a lot of legs, the last off season when he got to play in the preseason. He still seems smart. He's a great character player. on and off the field, and I don't see why he couldn't come in as needed and play good football. So I'm not trying to shuffle him out the door, but if somebody wants him for a good asset, I would consider it. This is where I separate with these next two picks, I think, because I don't have their stats in front of me, but I was real happy to get Ringo, the corner from Georgia, at pick 96. Choppy Chop took Zavala, interior offensive guard. And then with 152, I get Oluwatimi, the interior offensive lineman, center from the University of Michigan, which I think he started basically from day one with Seattle. I'm not exactly sure where he's at now, but I can't imagine he's not a productive starting player. So those were two nice picks. And then at 219, this was a guy I just thought, hey, man, I haven't taken a tight end. We need a tight end. And I took Zach Knutz, tight end at that point, who seemed to have a nice rating but fell way down the draft board and hasn't really seemed to do anything that I've seen in the National Football League. Chops takes his boy, Ford Wheaton, wide receiver. What was he from, like West Virginia or something, and went to the Giants and is currently, I think, spraying down shoes or like handing out new bowling balls at the old bowling alley. And last year's draft, with pick 24, when the Lion jumped up, me and Chops were in lockstep. I said it before he did. Of course, he's going to copy what I say, but I yelled into the microphone, give me Terry Arnold from Alabama. He was perfect fit for what we needed. He was young. He was a good character. He was corner, which we needed badly. So that was an easy pick. Came from a good school, all the type of stuff you look for. This is, again, where I separate myself from Chop. With the 61st pick, Oakley selects Jonah Ellis, edge, Utah. I love this player. I kept touting him. I said the Lions should get him. Every time I caught a little bit of the Denver Broncos game, Jonah Ellis was making plays. Strip fumbles, getting after the quarterback, doing great things. That would have been a great pick for the Lions. Chops goes ahead and takes Troy Franklin, who also got taken as a wide receiver from Denver. A flash here or there, but nothing really to get excited about. At pick 126, of course I say this, and imagine that, it gets replicated by my co-host at Chops in the D, where I say, give me my boy Christian Mahogany. And Chops says, I'll take Christian Mahogany, boss. No, I'm kidding. This one, actually, we both like this player. I probably would say at the end of the day, at the end of the draft process, Chops may have liked him a titch more than me, but it was no doubt value here at 126. And the crazy part is he went in the 6th round. What are we taking him, like in the 3rd? He was 72 on our default rankings. He went in the 6th, and Brad Holmes waited and got this player. So shout out, tip of the cap to Brad, always open for business, Holmes. Then it gets a little dicey. I had high expectations for Brendan Rice, son of Jerry Rice from USC. He went to the Chargers. I haven't heard anything. He probably hasn't done much. Chops takes Gabriel Murphy, edge from UCLA. I don't think he's done much. Then I thought I got a nice little steal with Tyler Davis out of Clemson, interior penetrating defensive tackle. I don't know that he's done much in the league, but he seemed to be great value at that point. At 189, he was 82 on our default rankings. Chops took Christian Boyd, the outside, interior defensive tackle, one type technique, big body, 320 plus pounder from Northern Iowa. Then at 210, I thought I was getting kind of a guy that could play when Ragnow was out and could play maybe one of the sides. And he actually did start for the Los Angeles Rams, but I'm not sure that he's still a starter or productive as I would have hoped. And that's Bo Limmer, the center interior guard player from Arkansas. Chops takes a guy named Miles Harden, cornerback from South Dakota, who I had never heard of at the time and haven't heard of since. So, as you can see, those top picks, we've actually been pretty on point with what Brad Holmes is doing, but when it gets later, we don't know these guys, we don't know the schemes, we don't spend our whole life on this, so yeah, it gets a little dicey after that, but very fun to look back on and see who we took, who we didn't take. how they're doing now, how maybe would they have done on the Lions, how would they have not done, which bowling alley are they working at, what's their task on a daily basis, things like that. But the draft is a crazy process. So this year, we'll do the same thing. We'll try to be live throughout. We'll try to get our live picks in as best we can, because we don't want to be those people who say, I told you so, when they never told you so years later, because that's just straight up annoying. So everybody, that's what I got for this Kool-Aid packet. I went a little bit longer, 20, 30 minutes. It's hard for me to get out under 30 when I'm talking Lions football and the draft especially. So everybody, that's what I got. Check you for the flagship on Wednesday. I'm out. Oh, hey, real quick. WrestleMania night 1 on Saturday. Nothing really. Some of those matches, why are they on the card for WrestleMania? It seemed to not fit. But the final match, Reigns, Punk, and Rollins, with Heyman doing the double swerve, whoop-de-dizzle, and going with Seth Rollins, that was good. That was incredible. They better turn up the juice for night 2 on Sunday. I need The Rock showing up. I need Travis Scott getting his comeuppance from somebody for that cheap shot he took on Cody Rhodes, even though I don't really like Cody Rhodes. You need like a big faction if John Cena is going to win the title. You need maybe like the merging of Seth Rollins and Heyman with Rock and Travis Scott and Cena, and the whole mix going on there. Something crazy needs to happen, because it's actually like a really cool setting. Looked great on TV. Tremendous stage. Great like atmosphere. But a ho-hum night 1. I mean, I half the time was playing on my phone. I wasn't watching because it just didn't captivate me. But I'm sure all the people worked hard and whatnot. But the only thing was that double swerve, Who's Your Medilla at the end by Paul Heyman. And that was good. I did expect it. It didn't seem like that's the way they were going with all the misdirection they were trying to give you. But still good nonetheless. And I'm hopeful for a fun WrestleMania Sunday with a heel John Cena hopefully winning and The Rock showing up and a whole bunch of craziness going on. So there's my WrestleMania recap before I get up out of here on a Sunday afternoon recording. All right, I'm really out this time. See you, everybody.
Cornbread!